So, da sind wir wieder. Nächste Panel, wieder auf Deutsch. Und ich freue mich ganz besonders darauf, dass wir zwei Vertreter von Vodafone dabei haben. Zum einen den Stefan Engel hier auf meiner linken Seite. Oh mein Gott, sorry, wieso habe ich denn Vodafone gesagt? Jetzt sind wir mal drauf. Ich hoffe mal, dass der Ton noch nicht lief. Wir haben gerade das Vodafone-Panel gehabt. Ich habe wahrscheinlich 75 Mal Vodafone gesagt und war da so drin. Und hätte mal vorher in mein Lenovo IdeaPad schauen sollen, weil dann hätte ich natürlich gewusst, und ich weiß es so oder so, dass der Stefan Engel bei Lenovo Deutschland arbeitet. Sorry, Stefan. Und auf meiner rechten Seite, that's Keith Liu. Keith, we met already 2 days ago, right?
Absolutely, at the launch of the Lenovo products at IFA here in Berlin. So, great to see you again.
Great to see you again, Keith. Well, tell us a little bit about the new phones that you launched. You've had the Vibe X, you have the S5000.
That's right.
And in terms of the design and the look and feel, what we saw, that was quite impressive.
Yes, thank you very much. I mean, what we really wanted to focus on was the fact that we wanted to make them as thin and light as possible, and we realized that a lot of people, they hold their devices for a long periods of time every day, and we wanted to then make it almost like part of their hand, so to speak, so making it really thin, really light. So the Vibe X, for example, is just 6.9 millimeters thin, and it's 121 grams, so you almost don't feel it when you're holding it for long periods of time. And then of course on the other hand, the S5000 tablet is slightly thicker. It's 7.9 millimeters, but still very thin. One of the thinnest tablets, 7-inch tablets around, at 280 grams. So, again, if you're reading books or browsing the web, holding it with one hand, it's really not a problem at all.
Both devices are running on a MediaTek quad-core processor, 1.5 gigahertz,
Absolutely.
Right?
Both on that quad-core processor. No, this is running on 1.2 gigahertz, while the Vibe X is running on 1.5 gigahertz.
Absolutely.
Right.
So besides your new launches of the latest smartphones and the latest tablets, Stefan, you've been also launching a new product line, or new yoga, the next generation of the yoga device. I remember at CES 2012 when you launched the very first generation of the yoga, I was just so deeply impressed by the hinge mechanism that you guys were using. And yesterday we've had one of your product managers together with Tito on our panel, and he was telling me that you're testing it like 25,000 times before it's finally going into the final product. At least 25,000 times, I guess.
It's something with it which is really amazing in Lenovo, how much we test. And I could give you another example which impressed me very much. When the team for the ThinkPad designed the fan, they collected dust from all over the world to test the fan with the dust from all over the world, and not just the dust they have in their hometown. So our name stands for quality. And we care for quality, and therefore we test more than others do. And of course, with a hinge mechanism like you have on the yoga, this is something where customers are very cautious whether it can stand and hold long. So it's really important that we have a specific look on that.
I remember about 8 years ago, right, there was a huge announcement in the IT industry, which was that Lenovo took over the PC division of IBM. And I remember all these articles from all these IT, and not only IT journalists at that time, right? It was in each and every magazine, right? It said, oh my God, IBM is dead. They have to sell all their PC production lines, and what's going to happen to ThinkPad? Who is Lenovo? But everybody was a little bit scared, and especially your competitors, right, were really making fun of this very publicly, and people were a little bit afraid of what's going to happen with the ThinkPad brand. Now, about 8 years later, something happened that I think no one at that time would have ever predicted. You're the number one on the PC and the notebook market, and there you are. And your devices are getting better and better, and you're becoming very, very innovative. And when I'm looking at especially the yoga ThinkPad, what you did with the mechanism, how you're flattening the keyboard, how it's just kind of dragged down, I've never seen anything like this. So what is it? What was it about kind of starting a kind of new chapter for Lenovo in China, together with a lot of people from the former, for example, also from the ThinkPad team. I know that a couple of designers and engineers came over and joined Lenovo at that time, because you guys are absolutely crushing it on the market right now.
Well, I mean, definitely. And Stefan, I'm sure you can talk a lot about, how the ThinkPad brand has grown throughout the world, especially in Europe, right?
No, it was when Lenovo took over the ThinkPad range from IBM. I was working for a competitor, and I was actually expecting what you said, that is probably would be weakening, and I got a real lot of respect how this team did it, and now when I'm in Lenovo, I know it's still many of the same people who did the original ThinkPad are still doing it. If I talk to a guy called Dilip Bahia, for example, who I think he eats, sleeps, and everything else ThinkPad.
Yeah,
this
if
guy
you
is
cut him, the blood that comes out will be ThinkPad.
Exactly, that was Keith. He was on our panel yesterday,
Yes.
from Australia, right?
Yeah.
Australian Keith?
No, Dilip Bhatia.
Dilip is an
Okay.
Indian. He's
Yeah.
not here.
Oh, okay.
But we have many of these people.
Yeah, yeah.
And they still have the same design teams, of course, with some new blood in, but all the tradition is kept, and all the knowledge about the quality and what the customers care for. And the company did a real good job. And now in the last 2, 3, 4 years, also the consumer market became more and more important for us. And so we have teams designing things like Yoga or Flex or Mix, or how all these innovative products are called. And we do have a climate in the company where you can take risks and do innovations. Not all of these innovations will work. Some will fail for sure. That's the nature of the business. But we are probably the only one who is trying out things at the moment. If I look at the rest of the industry, a lot of things are pretty boring, actually.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of where we've done in terms of our strategy, we've ensured that the ThinkPad brand continues to drive that same level of quality and same level of robustness for our enterprise customers. And enterprise customers are a very demanding bunch of people, and they always want to ensure that whatever you provide for them is top notch. So we've maintained and kept that kind of approach and kept that kind of determination to ensure that our ThinkPad customers are well looked after. But at the same time, I mean, that's on the PC side. We've decided to also move very much into a new era called PC Plus, with smartphones and tablets. And even though we are number one in the PC space right now, I mean, we're very, very happy about that, very proud of that achievement. We want to actually move on to the PC Plus space. And so now we are number 4 smartphone maker in the world, number 2 in China. So we'll use, these sort of strengths to build upon and, grow this space as well.
What is quite interesting is, even though that you're very well known for your notebooks on the Western markets, not a lot of people really know how innovative and how strong you are on the smartphone market, especially in mainland China. I think you have like way over 50 smartphones available in China.
That's right. I mean,
again, 50 at least.
Last year itself, we actually shipped more than 40 new models.
There you go.
And this is like our second year, or second and a half year, in the smartphone space. So definitely, we do ship a lot of smartphone. Different models. Of course, some of them are the same design, but for different carriers and using different radio frequencies and things like that. But regardless of that, we still ship a lot of smartphones, and we've started taking steps to bring our smartphones to outside of China in the last 1.5 years. So our smartphones are now available in markets like India, Russia, Indonesia, even Middle East, like Saudi Arabia and UAE.
So I asked your CEO during your press conference last year at IFA when we are finally going to expect, or can expect, a smartphone, a tablet from Lenovo, or, well, you have some tablets available on the Western markets. When can we expect something like this amazing Vibe X? When can we get the K900 here in Germany? Because our users are constantly asking us about this.
I can fully understand that. First of all, we do have tablets, as you corrected yourself.
Yeah.
and we have quite a broad range of tablets. But the company has a worldwide strategy, which in this case I don't like, being the German representative, because I would also love to sell this stuff. But unfortunately, the company is saying that we are launching the products in certain markets first, and there are some criteria behind the market. It must be a fast-growing market. It must be a market which is not dominated by telco providers, but more by a retail shelf. It should be a market where you don't have a big infrastructure of leased line, festnets. So these are the criteria, and in all these criteria, Western Europe is behind. So even if I, of course, think Western Europe, and especially Germany, is a very extremely important market for this guy on a worldwide landscape, there are other markets which are more important, and we have to suffer. But I'm pretty sure that during next year, I really hope, but I'm pretty sure we will make it somehow. Because we are getting the same questions. The people are keen on that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we're really hoping to do is to ensure that as we enter into new markets, we have all the ducks in a row. You know, what we want to really be careful about is to bring a device or bring a portfolio of devices to a market, and yet, you know, some things are not in place. Like, for example, you know, distribution is not ideal, or, you know, services is you know, halfway there. We want to ensure that everything's, you know, really perfect and all set up, and some of that really takes time. It takes, you know, negotiations. It takes time to sort of like drive some of these business development work, and because of that, and actually once we're able to enter one part of Western Europe, you'll probably see it very quickly going into many different countries within Western Europe itself.
I heard we are now launching it in Serbia recently.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, that's a K900, I guess, right?
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to bring, you know, a couple of models actually. K900 is among them to Serbia. That's going to be our latest new country where we will be available. But it's interesting. I met a gentleman at the show floor from Czechoslovakia, and he was telling me that he brings the smartphones from China. He imports them and sells them from his location online. And you know what he does is they actually root the device and put in an international version of the Android platform and sell that. So that's interesting. I mean, that's the kind of level of demand that we're seeing, and you know, so we're really, really happy about that.
Is this in general? Well, it has to be in general somehow a strategy of Lenovo, really taking your time to enter new markets, and really taking also your time in terms of what kind of products are going into this market, and especially taking care of the build quality, taking care of the design of it. Because seriously, when I'm just looking back in the last 3 or 4 years, and I've been reviewing at least 30 or 40 devices from Lenovo, there was never ever a single one where and I'm very, very honest in my reviews, I tell you that, and a lot of manufacturers hate me for this, that I'm very honest, but I have to be. I can't remember a single device where I could just say, you know what, this is not only below average, it's just crap, I can't use it, right? Each and every device that I've been using from Lenovo since, and even from the very first netbook that you launched like 4 or 5 years ago, these were at least above average, if not premium products, and especially not at a premium price. And I think this is something that kind of supported your amazing growth rates globally.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we definitely ensure that, you know, quality is there, not just in terms of the, you know, overall look and feel of the design, but actually the components themselves. I mean, we have a very, very tough team of quality assurance people working around the clock to ensure that, you know, if the product doesn't meet a certain quality requirement, it doesn't make it out through the door. So, and because of that, sometimes, you know, things get slightly longer to actually appear on shelves, you know, and we've had some of that happen before in the past, but it's all for the benefit of the consumer at the end of the day, because, you know, using a product and having it fail halfway through is probably one of the most frustrating things ever, especially with technology. I mean,
Yeah.
it's already not so easy to use new technology, right? But making it easy to use is one of our key goals. But they got to work, and they have to ensure that they don't fail halfway through.
When we speak to our customers and we sometimes really listen to them, which is also something which is probably kind of a difference, we really listen to what our customers advise us. And the main message always is, you may change whatever you want, but never change your quality. Because they really tell us, if you go to a customer, he will tell you, he will confirm to you that the failure rate on our notebooks, on the ThinkPad, is remarkably lower than on competition. And that's why they are buying us and why they are sometimes willing to pay a little more than for other brands. And that's our mission.
I remember a couple of brands that tried to saturate the market with very, very inexpensive devices, which which kind of hurt them on the long run. Especially, we know how expensive RMA and support is, and I think this is what I personally really like about Lenovo. What was interesting yesterday, we had a fantastic panel here of Lenovo influencers from all over the world. There were like 6 bloggers that you invited over here to IFA from 3 different continents, and we were talking a little bit about how they're using Lenovo pros, especially the Yoga. This, in my opinion, one of the icons of Intel's concept of 2-in-1. It was quite interesting what they were looking forward to get into the next generation, to the next platform, and they all agreed on the same on the same components, on the same features. Even though they were coming from India, we've had one from Mexico, we've had someone from Portugal over there. So they wanted to get more connectivity. They wanted to have 3G or LTE in the devices. They said in terms of the hinge mechanism, they're absolutely happy with it. They love this idea, right? And you don't even have to change a lot to this. They were talking about gestures, but then we just had the Yoga 2 Pro over here, right? And,
which you could do this and that, to move it left and right.
Exactly. So that was already pretty cool. And there was one last thing.
Voice control?
Voice control was important, and everybody was also kind of bragging about battery life a little bit. Everybody wants to have at least all day battery life, but let's talk about like 10, 12 hours. But I think especially now with Haswell, with the 4th generation of the Intel Core I think you've been definitely bringing this to the new level.
Well, in terms of, I'll talk about in terms of like 3G connectivity or 4G connectivity on these, devices. First of all, I mean, having these sort of connectivity, radio connectivity, adds a level of complexity in terms of like bringing it to different markets in different countries, because every country has different regulatory approvals on the telecom side. So once you actually include some of these 3G elements or 4G radio elements in there, there's that extra layer of testing and homologation that needs to be done. But not only that, some of the warranty issues become localized. So you can't really bring international warranty onto some of these devices, and that's...
You are from a worldwide role, I have a local role, and so we don't have to have the same opinion, because of course this is what our customers tell us.
Yeah.
We want 3G, we want 4G, especially in Switzerland as a country where 4G is really important.
Yeah.
And this is a demand of the market, and honestly I don't care how much your team has to work to get the complexity done. We got to do it.
I love that, how they're starting to argue on this. And you know what?
Well,
I'm with Stefan.
very, very hard, I can tell you that.
I'm completely with Stefan.
Yeah.
Because a 3G or a 4G module, also in terms of the space it will require in a laptop.
Not a lot.
And
doesn't take up a lot.
I would love to have... Yeah, I'm sure about this, and especially your premium ThinkPad line always had a 3G connectivity, or we've had options to get this.
Yeah.
Especially for me, it's very important not to use the tethering over my smartphone.
Right.
Even though that the battery life on modern smartphones is really good, we're getting this all-day battery life. I still just would. I don't want to worry about this anymore. I just want to open my laptop or my Ultrabook or 2-in-1, and I want to be online right away, wherever I am.
Right.
And so I think that's very, very crucial.
Yeah. So that's why we pick and choose certain products that have this connectivity availability, because at the end of the day, sometimes we also think about the fact that some consumers prefer, for example, international warranty, so that they're able to get their device fixed wherever they are. And the other thing is that if you want the latest models earlier, then that would help if it was Wi-Fi only. So in our tablets, for example, the Wi-Fi products typically go out slightly earlier compared to the 3G models, and that's partly because of the testing that's involved. But more and more, definitely, as we get more devices with 3G built in, we're definitely going to do more of that. With laptops, however, again, having a 3G radio there may affect battery life. So if you're going to have, once we meet the requirement to have 10-12 hours battery life, putting 3G in there that will affect your battery, say maybe 2-3 hours, then that's okay. But for now, if the battery life is going to be about 6 hours, if it affects it by 1-2 hours, then it becomes 4 hours, and that may not be so useful at the end of the day.
Well, guys, thank you so much. That was 30 minutes, right? And it kind of feels like 10 minutes, but trust me, it feels for me like 30 minutes over here. And that's not because of you guys, but it's because it's so hot.
It does seem a little hot today. Yeah, absolutely.
Come on, Sascha. You don't want to do this on Seabit in snow, in coldness. You remember the old times? I hated it.
What Intel supports us with some proper heaters in our studio at Seabit, right? But it's definitely way more interesting to have a chat like this over here at IFA, because I mean the content in terms of consumer electronics is way easier for us to prepare such chats. Thank you so much for being here. Wir haben als nächsten Programmpunkt, es bleibt Englisch, Nicole wird gleich ein Interview mit der Ashley Esqueda machen, eine gute Freundin aus den USA von uns, die jetzt bei Techno Buffalo oder für Techno Buffalo berichtet. Wir werden uns bis dahin kurz vergnügen mit dem Vergleich von der Sony Smartwatch 2 mit der Samsung Galaxy Gear. Das hat die Nicole aufgenommen. Martin fällt das Ding ab. Euch vielen, vielen Dank.